Hello and welcome back to Parc Fermé Parlay with Kieran Downey. We are here to discuss the 2024 Spanish Grand Prix qualifying, and what a qualifying it was. I was a bit worried, I'm not going to lie, that my prediction for pole position was actually going to come true. Thankfully it is not, although I am supposed to be obviously trying to get these right, but I will happily take the loss if it means we have Lando Norris on pole, which we do. All right, so now before we get into the actual qualifying, we need to talk about FP3, which in itself was a little bit boring up until the last half hour, where it seemed like everybody just got road rage. There was just little scraps going on throughout the tail end of FP3, and it was all really weird. So let's go through the two big ones and then we'll mention the others. So, first of all, Hamilton impedes Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll, they're coming round, I can't remember what turn it is, but they're coming round the corner. Now, Lance obviously gets a bit of a shock by Hamilton being there and impeding him. And Lance sort of, locks the steering wheel tight. When watching the onboard of Lance Stroll, he's got that wheel tight and he just lets the steering go a bit, loosens the steering up, and then makes contact with Hamilton. Hamilton, obviously, very apologetic. He's waved his hand at Stroll. He then comes over the radio and's like, I didn't see him. Lance is obviously annoyed. He's just been impeded. But they go to the stewards, and Lance Stroll openly admits that he was going to express his dissatisfaction with Hamilton by pulling over on him. Now, the contact was incidental. What is Stroll playing at? What is he actually playing at? Why would you do that? I just don't understand it. What's his problem? Get a grip, mate. Just get a grip. It's practice. It's genuinely practice. If it's qualifying, I get it. Hamilton would also be facing a penalty if he'd impeded in qualifying. But it's practice. So Hamilton got nothing and Stroll got reprimanded. It's insane, and I've got no idea what was going through Stroll's head, and I don't think I ever will. So then on to another very similar incident at turn 5. Lando Norris impedes Charles Leclerc. Now, this annoys Charles Leclerc as an impeding annoys any driver. Charles Leclerc had to abort his flying lap, and Leclerc said that whilst he was trying to get off the racing line, he misjudged the position of his car and turned in a bit too quickly and made contact with Norris. That obviously went to the stewards as well. Leclerc got a reprimand. Norris got nothing because it's impeding during practice. It's not a qualifying, so it's fine. But two very weird incidents. Now, because of this whole incident between Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris, Max Verstappen, who was on a flying lap, had to, I think, maybe abort his flying lap as well, because he was coming up the back end of all this going on and caught Lando Norris, who was also going slow, I believe, into turn 7. Then there was another incident with Lando Norris and Max Verstappen, who were both just very slow and in the way of Carlos Sainz, who was on a flying lap, who had to kind of navigate his way through. I believe that got sent to the stewards, but I haven't seen anything on it yet, so I don't know what the outcome of that is. And there was nothing flagged up during quali, so I don't know. But very weird FP3. Everyone just seemed to have a little bit of road rage. Everyone was just impeding each other, and just cut it out. You're professionals. Stop it. All right, now moving on to qualifying, and I'd like to say I'm surprised by some of the results in this quali, but I'm really not in terms of Q1 and Q2. Q3, quite surprised actually, but yeah, I'm not really surprised about who's out where, for the most part. Okay, so out in Q1 is Logan Sargent, Alex Albon, Daniel Ricciardo, Yuki Tsunoda, and Kevin Magnussen. I'm not really too surprised at Magnussen. I did kind of think he'd maybe do a bit better than that, but I don't really expect much from Kevin, so, it is what it is. Now, Logan Sargent, am I surprised he's out in Q1? No. Do I feel sorry for him? Part of me does. My God, it's his radio messages. So Logan Sargent has been noted, and it's been sent to the stewards, that he impeded Lance Stroll. Now, at the time of recording, I don't know what the outcome of this is, but I imagine there'll be some kind of penalty given to him, although he qualified 20th, so I imagine it might just be a fine. He just didn't do a great qualifying lap. His flying lap wasn't tidy, it was a bit messy, it was slow, and then he qualified P20 and he came into the pits and he was like, you know, I'm trying my best. And it is just so clear now that his best is just not good enough. Like, if you'd asked me this a long time ago, I'd maybe have said he's not performing to his best. But now I just believe that this is his best. His best is bad. His best is bad. That's all I really have to say on Logan Sargent. And can't wait to see Carlos Sainz replace him for 2025. But whenever he comes over the radio, I just feel bad for the guy. I do. And I know I made this big thing of being like, I don't feel bad for him anymore. Get him out of the car. But now I do just feel a little bit sorry for him. I've got a little bit of a soft spot for Logan. I actually don't know why. I don't know why. I think it is just because he's a really nice guy, but nice doesn't get you anywhere in F1. Alex Albon. I was a little bit surprised at Alex Albon. I thought he could have had a Q3 appearance. He was looking pretty feisty in that Williams. He had potential to be top 10 in my eyes, and I'm just a bit surprised that he couldn't put it together and get himself out of Q1. It's quite surprising, and that was a bit of a shocker for me, to be fair. That was. So yeah, not a great. To be fair, I did say I was hesitant about the performance of Williams this weekend. I did say I wasn't certain that they were going to do anything great. So am I surprised? Yes and no. I'm not surprised by Logan. I don't think anyone is. But I'm just a little bit surprised by Alex. But I'm also not surprised. It's a whole muddle. But yeah, I just thought maybe just a little bit better. Maybe like a Q2 from Albon. Come on. Daniel Ricciardo out in 18th. Again, I'm not surprised, guys. I'm not shocked by it. Daniel's performance hasn't been great, so I'm not really that surprised that he's out, which is a bit insane. I thought maybe he could get to Q2 as well, actually. I thought he'd have made it out Q1 at least, but I don't think a poor performance is really a surprise from Daniel anymore, and that's quite sad to say. Big surprise was Yuki Tsunoda, because he has consistently been the best of the midfield. He's been the best out of those back teams, where he's consistently just pushing that V-carb into points positions. I'm just very surprised he didn't make it out of Q1. He's constantly just been getting himself into Q3, and I'm actually quite shocked that he couldn't get out of Q1. Even he was quite shocked when he was told over the radio after the session. He was shocked by this information, and I think actually quite a lot of us were. But to be fair, the performance of the RBs this weekend hasn't been great. They've not really had the pace. They went through 3 sets of soft tyres in Q1. They were trying everything to get out of Q1. So Q2 would have been the best they could do. If they could pull it together, they weren't getting past Q2 because they were using so much of their allocation of tyres. So yeah, not great start to the weekend for V-carb, and I can't imagine they're going to pull much back during the race, but we shall see. All right, now Q2, and out was Zhou Guanyu, Lance Stroll, Nico Hülkenberg, Valtteri Bottas, and Fernando Alonso. Now, I am surprised at a Q2 performance here, because I'm surprised that Zhou Guanyu made it out of Q1. I never thought I'd see that. Stake have brought upgrades this weekend. I don't know if it's track specific. Barcelona is quite a well-rounded track. It's got a long straight. It's got a mix of high-speed and low-speed corners. So it does have a bit of something to suit any type of car. But I am just surprised that they managed to make it out Q2. I don't even know what the upgrades were on the car. In fact, hold on. I've actually got... So they brought 2 upgrades. One was to their rear wing, which was a redesigned pylon, main plane and flap with a detached outboard tips, which was to improve the aerodynamic efficiency of the car. And then a front corner upgrade, which was about the exit ducts of the front brake duct, which was also to improve aerodynamic flow and answer the cooling needs of the car in the race this weekend. But yeah, nice to see Joe not qualifying P20. Bottas being in Q2, not surprised. He does, you know, sometimes manage to get himself in there. I'd be more surprised if he'd made it through to Q3. Not surprised he's out in Q2. Nico Hülkenberg, do I think he could have done better? Yeah, but purely because he has been kind of Mr. Saturday for a while. He has been performing, he's been qualifying very well. So I always just kind of expect a little bit more from Nico now in quali. I'd like to say I was surprised by Aston Martin, but again, not really, because their pace hasn't been that strong this week. They have slightly struggled a bit, so not really surprised at all. But, I mean, I feel bad for Alonso. It's his home race. The crowd were screaming for him. And, yeah, it's a shame. I wonder what he'll be able to do. I don't know, like, Aston Martin just seem to have kind of slipped off a little bit, haven't they? It's a bit mental. But yeah, I'm not expecting big things from Alonso or Stroll, to be honest with you. I mean, I never really expect big things from Stroll. But important to note, however, that Alonso will actually start the race P10 because he'll get moved up a spot because of Perez's 3-place grid penalty. All right, moving on to Q3, where our top 10 were as followed. In at 10, we had Piastri, 9 Ocon, 8 Perez, 7 Gasly, 6 Sainz, 5 Leclerc, 4 Russell, 3 Hamilton, 2 Verstappen, and on pole position was Lando Norris. So there was a few things that obviously played into the hands of McLaren here. The track temperatures were down. Zach Brown had said that their car would perform better at a cooler track temperature, which is obviously what has happened. Norris did benefit from a tow from Esteban Ocon, and the replay of it on the onboard is brilliant to watch. Lando Norris is coming round, getting ready to start his flying lap. The final few corners, he let Esteban Ocon pass, who's on his flying lap, and as soon as Ocon's past him, Lando is foot to the ground. He could have maybe benefited from more of a tow had Esteban not moved out the way, which Esteban is completely correct to do so. He was finishing his flying lap. Norris was about to start his. It was correct for Esteban to move. So Norris didn't get the full tow, but it was enough to really just catapult that car up to pole position. The lap, I wouldn't say perfect. I don't think any of the drivers had a perfect lap, but the lap was stellar. It was very, very good. Obviously, he's pole position. He's 20 milliseconds ahead of Max. It's a very impressive performance from Norris. No mistakes on that lap, really. Just pieced it all together. Very, very good. Second career pole. So let's hope, fingers crossed, that he can convert it. I'd love to see him win. I absolutely would love to see him win another race this year. It would just be... moving on to his teammate, who's at the other end of the top 10, Oscar Piastri, who just didn't have a great Q3, to be honest with you. He had his first flying lap deleted because of track limits. And his second flying lap, I think it was at turn 12, maybe. He went too wide, ran onto the gravel, and, you know, just ruined his chances of getting any higher than P9, which is what he does have due to Perez's penalty. So he's qualified P10, but he'll start P9. Just a bit of a poor qualifying from Piastri. He was really just putting his all into it, and I think he's just pushed a little bit too hard, and he ran wide and just... It is these little sort of silly mistakes that are catching Oscar out. He usually qualifies a lot better, but during the race is when he makes little mistakes or he works his tyres too hard. So yeah, just not a great quali from Oscar Piastri, and let's see what he can do tomorrow. Depending on what his strategy is, there is also apparently a threat of rain. Damon Hill just constantly was talking about it, but Simon Lazenby did say, this was on the Sky broadcast, did say that will probably affect the early races, your F1 academies, your F2s, your F3s, not really going to affect F1, but we'll see. Because as we all are aware from Canada, the weather can be quite unpredictable. Moving on to Verstappen, let's talk about him. Solid, like just did well. He got a massive toll from Perez. Red Bull actually sacrificed Perez to give Max a toll. Now, Max didn't get, it wasn't as big a toll because he was quite far back, but he would have definitely benefited from the slipstream. And just, he did a good lap as well, just obviously wasn't the quicker car. He just wasn't the quicker car. He'll start from second. It'll be interesting to see what happens between Norris and Verstappen during the race. I think we'll get quite a good fight between them two. A good battle between the two of them, to be honest with you. And I'm quite looking forward to that. His teammate Sergio Perez qualified 8th, but he will be starting the race from 11th due to his 3-place grid penalty. So, yeah, again, I'm surprised he even made it to Q3 because Perez's qualifying recently has been abysmal. So good to see that he's made it into Q3, and I think the team were just, there was no point of him trying to get as far up as possible because his penalty. So why not put the benefit to your other driver that performs better, that doesn't have a penalty, that actually has a chance to win this race? I think Red Bull made the right call, and I'd have probably made it myself. What is wild is that Alpine outqualified Perez. Pierre Gasly threw that wheelie bin to P7. Like, what? Pierre Gasly was putting in some flying laps. Now, first of all, it is amazing that both Esteban and Pierre made it into Q3. Like, that Alpine's a tractor, so whatever they've done to it, whatever the upgrades, whatever weight saving, whatever they've done to it is paying off. It's working. It will be interesting to see what they can do on Sunday, but very, very good from both Pierre and Esteban. But Pierre outqualifying Perez. Perez has just been outqualified by a tractor. Like, what is happening? That Red Bull should not be getting outqualified by an Alpine. I am sorry. Come on. Yeah, I'm finding it actually a bit mental. A bit mental. To be fair, this is Perez's first Q3 appearance since Miami. I know, I'd seen it and I was like, Jesus Christ. Perez needs to perform better. Interesting to see. Oh, no, wait, because he's got his grid penalty, so he's starting from 11th anyway. I was going to say it'd be interesting to see like a little battle between Gasly and Perez, but there's not going to be one because Perez won't be there. Oh, but that means that Gasly and Ocon are lining up beside each other. Oh, the Alpines are lining up beside each other, and that's never good news. And I understand that Esteban will probably be under strict instructions to not be pulling any crazy moves on Gasly, but that could be feisty. Moving on, let's talk about Sainz and Leclerc. Just like fast, but not fast enough. They will start Leclerc P5, Sainz P6. Just didn't have the pace. That's it. There was no real silly mistakes. There was no weird, sending them out on used softs at the wrong times. They just didn't have the pace. They were fast, but not fast enough. What's the fast but no cigar? What's the saying, like thingy but no cigar? Close, but no cigar. I think we're going to see split strategies between all of these drivers that are starting side by side. Your two Alpines, your two Ferraris, your two Mercs. I think we'll see some split strategies. And I don't think that in this fight, we can count out Ferrari and Mercedes just yet. I think they are still very much in contention to take the win, to be honest with you. I'll say it. I think it is a 4-team fight for the win. I said that was going to happen. Red Bull, McLaren, Mercedes, Ferrari. There we have it. It's going to be a 4-way fight. And a 4-way fight, 4-team fight. 6 cars all fighting for that. Does that not just get you excited? Because it's got me so excited. Let's talk about Mercedes quickly. George Russell lining up P4. Lewis Hamilton lining up P3. George was very vocal and unhappy with Lewis Hamilton over the radio on his preparation lap. I think Lewis was just going a bit too slow. George came into the pits saying, what the is Hamilton doing on that prep lap? Like, basically saying, why is he going so slow? And they came back and were like, listen, it's fine. We'll talk about it later. Can you just keep your head in the game? Keep your head in the game. This is quali. Do not get distracted by these things. Yeah, they look fast. They just obviously weren't fast enough. Good to see Mercedes back up there and both drivers feeling confident in the car. I've said this past couple of times now, but just good to see it happening. Long may it continue, because this is exciting. And I know it happens every sort of time when the regulations begin to change. They change the regulations, everyone's all over the shop because it's a completely new set of regs. And towards the end, there'll be a dominant car comes out who just sort of nails it first time. These current regulations, that was obviously Red Bull. They mastered it pretty early on. They had an absolute flyer in 2023. Coming into 2024, a lot of the other teams have a better understanding of how to build the cars for these regulations. They're now bringing the fight up, and next year will be even closer than this year, because they're constantly learning how to get the maximum out of these cars with these regulations. So we're going to have an excellent end to this season. From now until the end of the season is going to be excellent. It's going to be a great fight. And we're going to have an excellent season next year. I can see it. Because everyone's going to be so competitive because they understand these regulations so much. And then it'll all change in 2026. And it was almost like leveling the playing field. And we'll have a new team that comes out on top and is the front runner, and as the regs go on, everyone else will catch up. It's the way F1 works. Yeah, I'm very excited for the race tomorrow now. Very, very excited. I think it's something like 30 out of the last 33 races in Barcelona have been won from the front two, like the front row. So that means you'd probably be looking at Max or Norris winning, but I just think it's going to be a lot closer than that, and I think we will see a lot of split strategies, and I don't think we can count Mercedes or Ferrari out of this fight just yet. I think they could be. I think they're serious contenders for this, and we're going to have a 14 fight for wins and podiums, and that just excites me so much. It excites me so much. So yeah, that is it. That's a sort of very exciting qualifying session with, you know, quite a split grid. We do have, you know, a top two where their teammates are starting way down the back end of that sort of top 10, one starting P9, one starting P11. So they don't really have the protection from their teammates. We then have a 2 and 2 by Mercedes, and in fact a 2 by 2 by 2 with Mercedes, Ferrari, Alpine. In fact, actually quite a lot of the teams are lumped together. You've got the Williams right at the back, P19, P20. You've got the V-Carbs, P17, P18. The middle's kind of split, and then it's Alpine, Ferrari, Mercedes. Yeah, I think we've got a good fight in our hands, and I'm very excited for it. But that is all from me just now. I will see you after the race tomorrow for what I am hoping will be quite an exciting Spanish Grand Prix. I know Barcelona tends to have quite boring races, but I just think we're in for something exciting, and my God, I can't wait. But yep, that's everything. I will see you tomorrow after the race. Love you. Bye.